on, Ramley? Ryan Dyer here. Before we get to the show, got to tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper, #1 sports app right now, and not just for season-long fantasy. They've got live score updates. They've got a chat you can communicate with other users. Plus, the best part is the daily fantasy feature, which is just like a live pick'em. Just choose 2 to 8 players across any sport. Choose more or less, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit right now, use our promo code. You see it right down there, Rams LAFB, all one word. They're going to give you a match bonus up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free on top of that to play with. If you only want to deposit 10, they'll match you that 10. You're starting at 20. But wait, right now, any new users automatically get a $20 free entry to play with, no deposit required. However, you can stack that bonus, take that 20, go deposit whatever you choose up to 100 with that promo code RAMSLAFB, and they'll match you that. So now you've got extra free money to go play with. So check it out today. Download the Sleeper app. Tell them the guys over at the Rams LAFB sent you. Now, let's get on to the show. Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB Network. Talking all things Rams on the bye week. Got some fun segments with the trade deadline just a week or so away, a little over a week away, coming up at the beginning of November. So got some fun chatter here with my main man, Skinny T. What's going on, brother? Happy Thursday. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain whatsoever. My weekend starts tomorrow, so great way to kick off the bye week.
Yeah, look at that. You know that saying that the old timers always say, like, can't complain and no one would listen if you did, or no one would care even if I did. Yeah, I always say that. I was a bartender for like 5 years, so I heard that line so many times. Oh, can't complain. No one would listen if you did. Okay, so, well, good. But yeah, bye week. Rams looking good. We talked last episode, kind of power rankings. You know, they're really firmly in that top 5 after a dominant win over Jacksonville. But with the bye week, with the trade deadline coming, Skinny, we know this Rams team is always aggressive. They're always in win now mode. They're always in F them picks mode. They have 2 first-round draft picks in next year's draft. This team certainly has positions where they could improve upon. Now, this is a good football team, but they can certainly improve. So let's talk about some potential targets out there. And I think anyone that watches this show knows Skinny and I are much more realistic. We're not going to throw out like someone from a winning team or a division rival. Like that stuff like that's not going to happen. We're not going to live in fantasy land. Some realistic options that could happen. Now, some of these are kind of fantasy land, but they actually have a realistic shot based on being the Rams who they are. So I'll start with you, Skinny. Give me, we'll just kind of go down. We don't list them all. We'll just kind of go back and forth. Snake one-on-one. Who are you targeting?
You know, my favorite one on my list is Cam Taylor-Britt. Plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. He was actually a guy that I wanted them to draft a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big guy, 5'11", 200 pounds. He's got the straight line speed, the long speed that can cover in man coverage, which is kind of a criteria that I'm looking at just because the man coverage statistics for the Rams have been pretty atrocious since Ahkello Witherspoon went out. And that leaves this team playing with one hand tied behind their back. So I like Cam Taylor-Britt for those reasons. And it's hard to say with the Bengals team right now, though, exactly where they are. They go out and get Joe Flacco because they want to compete this year. But it just seems like a really hard sell on that one. I don't believe this team can win any games. So are they going to be ready in a couple of weeks to move on from this guy at the trade deadline? I don't know, but he's got all the makings of a good option for the Rams.
Yeah, I love that one. And since he's an interesting team, and I'll keep it right with Cincy, Skitty, and I'll go with the guy on the other side, DJ Turner II, who's right up the Rams' alley. He's an undrafted free agent. He's only in his 3rd season, so he fits exactly what the Rams look for in defensive players. Undrafted free agents, they don't have to pay a lot. So the contract is no issue there, obviously. The dude has he has a $1.3 million cap hit. I think his highest is in 26. So next season, 1.96 cap hit before his contract expires. But the obviously question is, like, if you're going to trade for a guy, you want to upgrade the position. Well, in back-to-back weeks now, he's the 3rd highest graded corner on PFF. So not just last week, but the previous week, he was also the third highest ranked with a coverage grade of 81.3. And I think he does bring some size and versatility there that could potentially, he's not the biggest guy, 5'11", 180, but enough size in what the Rams try to do at the corner position. So this is not like your home run trade, but it's definitely one. If the Cincinnati Bengals decide to be a wholesale, this is an undrafted free agent. Doesn't cost a lot, so maybe they don't want to move on from that. But if the way he's played, they can get back like a mid-round pick. It wouldn't cost the Rams a ton, but a guy that could at least complement, maybe not be like that massive upgrade over Darius Williams or when Witherspoon's back, but certainly a nice complement piece to add more depth in case anyone else goes down. So I'll start with the safer side. That's not the home run, but DJ Turner, undrafted free agent, third highest graded corner. Can't beat that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Why not both? Go get them both.
Why not?
Just make a big trade with the Bengals. I like that. Yeah, next on my list is AFC as well. Titans, Roger McCreary, I would say, would be a good option for them. Does he have that size and speed combination that I like with Cam Taylor-Britt? Not quite. A little bit small, a little bit more limited. But what I do like is his ability to play inside and outside. So where the Rams find themselves right now with Quentin Lake as being their primary nickel coverage guy is, one, Quentin Lake is super versatile. He's playing tons of snaps in the slot. He's actually playing a lot on the defensive line as well. We saw him pick up a sack last week. But kind of where they painted themselves into a corner with Quentin Lake is they're not really able to move him around, which makes him a more limited option for them, which makes, it takes away his biggest contribution, which is being able to be the free safety, move up to the box, move up to the defensive line, or play in the nickel. So getting a guy like Roger McCreary, he can play inside, outside, frees up Quentin Lake to move around a little bit more. And I don't think it would take a lot to get him out of Tennessee. They're obviously still in the rebuild. So a guy like this might want to get out, might want to find himself a winning team, get himself a nice refresh. This could be it.
So before I say my next one, I forgive me if we even plan this ahead of time, but do you have anyone that's not a corner on your list? I think we're pretty confident the Rams are only going to target a corner, right? Or do you have someone else?
I have two. They're a little bit more home run style, but
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I just wanted to see, because my next one is a corner again. So I just wanted to preface that ahead of time. Okay. So this one's a little more kind of thinking outside the box, not even necessarily for the Rams, but anyway, I'll just say this. So Jaquan McMillan with the Denver Broncos, another guy that's now undrafted guy, has played really well in this Vance Joseph system for the Broncos. And one would say, why would the Broncos trade one of their top corners when they are a 5-2 football team? They're a true Super Bowl contender. You don't want to break that up. Now, for that reason, they may not. You don't want to ruin any chemistry that you have. And he is playing so well. He actually, if we're sticking to kind of PFF grades, he's actually the highest graded corner on the Broncos, even above Pat Surtain and even above Riley Moss. He was the second. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, wow. I didn't know.
He was the second highest graded corner in last week's game and fifth overall, according to PFF's metrics. Position grade rate of 76.58. So is playing really well and can play kind of all over the field, does play a lot of slot. You see Pat Surtain and Riley Moss kind of on the outside, McMillan more in that slot. So does it fit with Quentin Lake? Kind of like what you were saying about your first choice. It would be an interesting fit there. But the reason why this could be kind of outside the box is this is the final year of his contract with Denver Broncos. So his contract expires after 2025. The way he's playing, the Broncos probably will not be able to afford to re-sign him. And on top of that, they have obviously Pat Surtain, who's probably the best corner in football, in my opinion, who they just paid. They have Riley Moss, who is their corner 2, plays on the outside. He's done well. And they just drafted Jahdae Barron in the first round out of Texas in this year's draft, who they presume to be their future kind of nickel slot corner guy. So it could behoove them to actually trade McMillan, even though he's playing so well, but to get something back instead of just letting his contract expire and him go hit free agency and they lose him for nothing. The Rams and the Broncos have done deals before. Obviously, we know about the Von Miller trade. So I think they could get something done again for the Rams where they don't give up a ton. You're not having to give up a first round pick for this guy because the contract is expiring, but he would certainly, I think, make this defense better. So that'd be a little outside the box. Again, you don't see many Super Bowl contending teams trade away one of their starters, but just because of the way that room is and because of the way the contract, I think it's worth a conversation. What say you?
Yeah, definitely. I like that one a lot, actually. He was on my list. And I like your Broncos insight about how crowded that room is. Because that was my thinking on that. Changing kind of the top change of coach basically is what I'm trying to say. So I like all of that. And I think my next guy is also in a similar vein, expiring contract. Lots of changes happening in where he plays now, but it's the Saints, Alontae Taylor. And I've really fallen in love with this guy since doing research on it. Big guy, 6 feet tall, just about 200 pounds, good speed, good versatility. Obviously the Saints are going nowhere this season, as much as we love our Kellen Moore and our Brandon Staley's and all the staff there. The Saints are going absolutely nowhere. So I think they would be listening to trade offers on this former second round pick, expiring contract, like I said. So definitely taking calls on that guy. But just kind of fits the bill of everything that I've wanted. But he was flying under the radar for me. I didn't know a lot about Alontae Taylor before I started doing some research on him. And I think he's probably, he won't cost what Sauce will cost, Sauce Gardner. But I think he can bring a lot of similar skill sets, and they can lock him up on a long contract. Before we were heading into this conversation, I was enlightening you to the strange situation they have in the defensive backfield after this year. They have just 3 guys on contract. Those 3 guys, Darius Williams, Emmanuel Forbes, and Josh Wallace. Darius Williams has no guaranteed money on his contract for 2026. So you're going to have to get a young guy. You're going to have to get a guy that you can extend to a longer contract. And I think Alontae Taylor is right up there.
Yeah. I mean, this is what's interesting about kind of looking at these trades is like, do you go after a long-term solution that gives you maybe a little boost this year, but is more of a long-term, or do you just go kind of flash in the pan rental, if you will? And, my next one is another rental. Rasul Douglas down in Miami. I'm impressed we don't have any of the same guys. This is actually kind of impressive for the most part. 31 years old. So getting up there. Last year of his deal with Miami. So his contract expires after 2025. And Miami, I think, is in a full fire sale. Like they should try to sell everything and try to get as many draft picks as possible. Obviously, we know they dealt, a lot of their defensive core before the season even started, including Jalen Ramsey. So Rasul Douglas is a guy that, is an up and down corner, but he is the 16th ranked corner in PFF grades for the season. He had the 9th highest grade last week. So, still can give you some good output there as potential CB1 or someone on the outside. And again, you're not tied down to him long-term. You're going to be able to get him for a cheap mid to late round pick and just kind of use him as a rental that hopefully he just gives you that extra boost on this playoff push. So definitely not a trade where they're building for the future, just someone to come in and at minimum, at least give you some more depth until Ahkello Witherspoon is officially back. But someone, I think, when you think of Ahkello Witherspoon coming back, if you have Witherspoon and Douglas on the outside, I think you've vastly improved your secondary compared to it being Darius Williams and geez, now I'm drawing a blank.
So you got Kobe Durant, you got Emmanuel Forbes.
Emmanuel Forbes, thank you. I do think that would be a drastic upgrade with Witherspoon and Douglas. So, another rental, but a cheap rental. You're not paying an arm and a leg for that, 6 months of action. So yeah, Rasul Douglas. Miami's going to fire sale.
I mean, how long are they going to have the same coach? I mean, that guy's got to get fired soon, doesn't he? I mean, we've already seen one guy go.
Keep staying there behind him, which is wild.
Yeah, that place is a mess right now. Yeah, and you keep bringing up depth, and that's a great word because they are one more injury away from this being somewhat catastrophic. Kobe Durant, Darius Williams, Quentin Lake, and then you got Trey Harris, and you got Emmanuel Forbes and Josh Wallace, and that's it. That's the only thing on this roster this year. So, I mean, even if it is a depth piece that they go after, I think they have to go after a cornerback. And new Athletic beat reporter Nate Adkins had an article today. He's like, they might not be going the F them picks route, but they are buyers. So it might not be one of those high level swings, but I mean, it almost seems to heading into the season, we even talked about it, kind of neglecting the position, not carrying more of these guys onto the active roster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird spot for him to be in. But
Yeah.
A couple of my kind of wild card picks, also contract situation at this position group, offensive line, go after Wyatt Teller from the Cleveland Browns.
Mm-hmm.
How close are they to tearing it all down and setting it all up again? I don't know, but Steve Avila coming up for a contract. Are they going to pay him into a second contract? That's not something we've really talked about, but since doing this research, it's become a bigger question for me.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Dotson also has no guaranteed money heading into next year, so they're either going to have to renegotiate with him. And Wyatt Teller's been one of the best guards in the league. He's played both left and right side. So I think, maybe taking a plan for the future, see if you can get this running game going again, and investing in that position. I'd like to see that.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, I think, no harm in getting some, not even offensive line depth. I mean, those are potential starters that can come in and at least be swing starters or plan for the future. So, yeah, I think offensive line is something they'll look at, especially if, they'll have my calendar is not in front of me, but they'll have one game before the trade deadline. The bye, then one more game. So if God forbid, knock on wood, any injuries happen in that game, then obviously they'll certainly, I think, have to pick up the phone and make some phone calls. So I think, and we can kind of wrap with this. I didn't really have any more, other position ones. I focus more on corner, but when you look at, like, even just the names I listed in you too, Skinny. And again, PFF is not the metric that we need to live and die on. I think it's been well documented that a lot of people that grade are like, Uber drivers that do this as a part-time thing. They're not like NFL scouts grading. So that should not be taken with like the Bible of how we rank these players. But it is something at least to compare in metric. And at least all the three guys I listed who are all cheap and expiring contracts that would not cost a lot of trade are all well above the highest graded Ram corner, which is Darius Williams, who sits at 27th. So you consider, just based on that one metric, and there's a lot more that goes into it, any three of those options is already had a more successful season so far than the Rams' highest. Again, it could be different if Kelly Witherspoon was healthy, but he's not. So you got to base on who's playing. So we'll end with this, Skinny. Is there any world, I know this has been talked about a bunch, but is there any world where the Rams try desperately to swing for Sauce Gardner? I know that's the home run swing that everyone talks about. Now, the big thing before I even toss it over to you is a massive contract they would have to take on. I got to remember exactly what it is, but it's like it's first or second. He's the first or second highest paid corner in football. So I'll double check it when you're talking, but that's obviously a piece of it. But is there a world you see where they say, hey, we don't love this quarterback class anymore. We're trying to win right now. We don't care about 26. We care about 25. And getting a guy like Sauce in the back end, we're talking about like we did with Jalen Ramsey just 2 years ago.
The way that Matthew Stafford is playing, it makes me believe. It makes me want to believe anyway. He could play a healthy and successful 2026 season where you can kind of kick the can down the road a little bit more on quarterback, so you don't need both of those first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the contract situation that I laid out, just really only two guys under contract at the position, period, hands down. Yes, I think there's absolutely, you got to make that call. You have maybe Sauce wants out. There's been a regime change at the top for the Jets. We don't know if they're not going to be winning this year for sure. Are they going to be any better next year? Are they going to get,
a quarterback? Yeah.
They need a quarterback. They need all sorts of stuff. Is he going to want to be there for another 3 years before they're in contention, or does he just want to drop into a contender right now? That's essentially what I'm talking about with the Jalen Ramsey situation. And contracts are fungible. Contracts,
Yeah.
especially for the Rams, you can change you can play all that magic you want to.
Yep.
It's all funny money for the Rams. So I think you got to make that. You got to make that call. You got to try it at least. Obviously they're not going to want to move away from it. It's going to cost big. Is it going to cost 2 first rounders? I don't know. I mean, that's pretty steep.
So that's the question, Skinny. So his contract, he makes roughly $30 million a year is what his contract is. He's got a void year in 2031. So he's under contract for the long foreseeable future. Now, like you said, they can make some adjustments and restructuring and move some money, but it's already a backloaded contract. I mean, his cap number next year is only 12 million. Then it jumps to 23, 28, 38 and 29, 36 and 30, and then drops down to 2 and 31, which is that void year. So, they can't really push too much more down. They'll be lucky, but they'll be not eating a lot in the beginning. And if you figure, God forbid, let's just say Matthew Stafford does call it a year after this year, then you're not paying $50 million for a quarterback. You got a lot more money to play with in the future. You're going to be having a rookie QB or a cheap vet after that. So I agree. Got to make the call. I mean, why not? I mean, he immediately makes his team better. He's arguably the best corner in football, depending who you talk to. I think I would take Pat Surtain, but it's 1A, 1B. They're both right there. And the big thing is if the Jets are willing to deal. And if they're like, okay, yeah, we got to tear this thing down. And the more if the Jets, you figure if they're going to start the asking at 2 first for sure. They're going to see what Jalen Ramsey got, which was 2 first when the Rams traded for him out of Jacksonville. They're going to start there, and the Rams can see if they can negotiate that down. But if they swing that with 2 firsts, which then tells you the Rams are going after a quarterback next year, most likely, but then the Jets have 3 first-round picks. So is it worth losing a guy like Sauce Gardner to have 3 first-round picks next year? One of those is going to be probably a top 5 pick. So they'll get their quarterback, and then they'll have 2 more after that. That might be what's tempting for them, is getting that off the books and all those picks. And the Rams say, okay, well, we got our cornerstone corner, and we're going to go win the damn thing this year. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. Comment below. What do you guys think? Would you be pissed about that, or would you be fired up? Because that is the definition of the F them picks era. If the Rams do that, like, they need a quarterback next year. They need to draft a quarterback. We'll get to that in the offseason. But regardless if Stafford's back or not, they have to draft someone. The guy's not playing forever. They got to start preparing for the future. So that would be the ultimate, we don't care about the future. We'll figure it out when it gets here.
I mean, it's really the ultimate question in all of sports. It's like, do you win the championship this year? Do you do it? Do you go all in, push all the chips in, win the championship this year? Or do you ensure that you have a longevity in place? And, you ask certain teams, we got the Vikings coming up here. Would they trade some of this, these 10-7 seasons over the last, 40 years since they've been to a Super Bowl for one championship? I mean,
I think you would.
I think you would. Yeah.
And this is, and then we'll end with this, but this is the, and we said this, not to give us a pat on the back, but I'll give us a pat on the back. Because me and you were both bullish on the Rams should draft a quarterback in 25. This is before last draft. And everyone was like, no, 26 is going to be great. Just wait for them. The 26 QB class is looking not good right now.
Nussmeier. Aller.
All Lenore Sellers dropping down. All of the top prospects.
Arch Manning.
I mean, Arch Manning, is not even going to go in the draft next year. Yeah. So,
but he's playing like crap.
Yeah, your top 2 prospects are probably right now Fernando Mendoza and Jade Mayava at USC. So, what we were saying is the 25 class was not elite, but we saw some good things. Yeah, everyone knows I was a big Jackson Dart guy. He's looking to be pretty good with New York. You can't just bank on next year because everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a better class waiting. I'm not saying the Rams did that, but that's what all the, the fan base, the other content creators, everyone was saying. So now we'll see how this ends, obviously, but you can't now, if you want to win now, you can't worry about we'll just wait and see what this happens. And, we got to do this and that. So they've always played by, we care about now. Obviously they have the future in the back of their mind. But if there's a chance to go get Sauce Gardner, I think you just push the chips in and go. Let Stafford ride off into that beautiful Malibu sunset with his second ring, where he's going to get his gold jacket, and then you figure out 26 in 26.
Yeah, I mean it's the biggest question. We've been talking about it nonstop. It seems like for at least 12 months now, somewhere around there, 10 and 12. Anyway, yeah, I mean, the last guy is also on my list was Breece Hall, also a New York Jet. Inject some explosivity into that running game. Why not give them a call, see what they want? You could probably, I mean, what's a running back cost these days?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Third
And the
rounder?
trade, have we seen like a big running back trade like in the last like 5+ years?
Well, there's Christian McCaffrey, but this one even touched
Okay.
that.
That would definitely, and that constitutes a big one, but that would,
Yeah.
I can't think of any other like running back trades. So, interesting. Well, let us know what you guys think. Comment below. Do you want to see the Rams active at the trade deadline? Do you want them to take a big swing like a sauce? Would you rather the more kind of remedial, economic trades like a DJ Turner, or like some of the guys Skinny said? Let us know what you guys think. Comment below. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us out, keep growing this channel, and help us to keep growing the LAFB network. That's Skinny T. I'm Ryan Dyrud. Ramley will be back soon with plenty more Rams talk on this busy bye week.